This free agency period is going to be crazy. It starts in about 11 days, and it's probably one of the deepest free agent quarterback markets we've seen ever in the NFL. Probably since Peyton Manning went to the Broncos. And not to mention, the NFL draft is less than 50 days away. So we're going to get a lot of big news here in the upcoming weeks, and I'm pretty excited for it. So let's get started with where all these potential free agent quarterbacks are going to land. Starting off, Drew Brees. We know he's staying in New Orleans. He came out and said that he's going to be a return for his 800th season. So Drew Brees is back in New Orleans. So what this means is Teddy Bridgewater has to go somewhere, right? So Teddy Bridgewater, I don't think will stay, just because I don't think the Saints are going to wait and pay him a big contract for him to maybe sit a possible one more year, possibly 2 more years behind Drew Brees. I think Teddy Bridgewater ends up going to the LA Chargers. They don't have a quarterback. They're looking for a fresh face after Phillip Rivers, has been there for 800 years. And that team's kind of on the rise, where I think they're in a good place to take a chance on Teddy Bridgewater. They can give him a prove-it contract where I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is going to demand a big contract where, like Nick Foles got last year, where he had a big guarantee. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is going to be able to get that. So I think he's going to be on more of a prove-it deal, and I think the Chargers can do that. And, if Teddy Bridgewater ends up not being great, they still do have Tyrod Taylor, who obviously isn't a great quarterback, but he can play, and he's a good enough quarterback to where he can fill in until you get until you finally find who you want to get a quarterback. But I think Teddy Bridgewater would be a good fit in LA with the great weapons around him. You have Hunter Henry, who might be franchise tagged, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, rather. Austin Eckler just signed a contract today, actually. So you have a lot of pieces there in LA for Teddy Bridgewater. Then moving on to Taysom Hill. I think Taysom Hill will stay with the Saints. He might get that early round tender, which, I don't think that's really going to shy away the Saints from just holding on to him, rather. I think Sean Payton is eventually, or after these last few seasons of seeing Drew Brees struggle in the playoffs, that you need something more than just a passer in today's NFL. Not to mention you have Lamar Jackson blowing up the NFL and could possibly be changing the whole landscape of offenses. And that's what Taysom Hill is. We haven't seen Taysom Hill really be a quarterback. He threw I think 11 passes last year and completed 6 of them, something along those lines, and hasn't really been healthy ever in his life, even in college. But I think Taysom Hill will stay with the Saints unless he gets a big deal from somewhere else, which I can't really see happening. But I think Taysom Hill stays with the Saints and Sean Payton. Moving on to probably the biggest domino in this whole puzzle, if you want to call it that, in free agency, is Tom Brady. Now, I personally, I want to say he stays with New England. I just don't see another spot that really puts him in a win now, in a win now place. I think it would be Chicago would be the place. But I for some reason, I think they like Mitch Trubisky too much, which makes no sense. But I think the only other place he can go is Vegas, and that's kind of what I'll explore here, because I think it is a legit place. I don't think it's only New England. I think he has a legit chance to leave. I think Vegas is the best option. Vegas, he could go there, and Vegas could use an early pick on a big play receiver like Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, etc., etc. This class is so deep in the draft, but I think that's realistic. But here's that domino effect. If Tom Brady goes to Las Vegas, bye-bye Derek Carr. Now for Derek Carr, there's a lot of options that they can do. Vegas could trade the 12th and 19th pick to Detroit or the New York Giants to get above Miami and get a quarterback, maybe Tua, maybe Joe Burrow if Burrow decides to, say F Cincinnati and say, hey, I'm not playing for you. Who knows? And there's still a couple quarterbacks like Justin Herbert and Jordan Love. I think if they get Tua, they will keep Carr for a year if they don't get Tom Brady. I think they'll keep Carr for a year and wait for Tua to get healthy. If they have Brady, he'll just sit behind Brady until Brady's done. If they end up not getting Brady also and they get Burrow or Justin Herbert, or if they make a Raiders move like they always do and pick somebody stupid, which could be Jordan Love really early, I think they'll trade Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr could go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if Derek Carr went to Tampa Bay, bye Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston now. This is getting wild. So if Jameis Winston is out of Tampa Bay, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are a good place for him to go. Jacksonville, if this happens, they could trade Nick Foles. Nick Foles has that big contract, and I don't know if they're set with Gardner Minshew. I mean, they played him, and then they benched him for Nick Foles, and then benched Nick Foles again. So I don't think they're happy with any of the quarterbacks they have there. I think Jameis Winston could go there with, another team with good weapons. D.D. Westbrook, DJ Chark. I think Leonard Fournette, of course. I think that could be a good place to where they need to boost in that offense. And last year, they seemed to have big play receivers that need a big play quarterback. And that's what Jameis Winston has proven to be. Now, if Jameis Winston goes to Jacksonville, they're going to have to trade Nick Foles, right? And I don't think any team can really take that big Nick Foles contract. But I think the one team that could, the New England Patriots. Now, New England, assuming in this, they lost Brady to Las Vegas. Brady went to Las Vegas or somewhere else. So Brady, realistically, only has a few more years left, and New England's, and he's gone out of New England. So the Patriots have $41 million in cap space in 2020. Then in 2021, they have $120 million in cap space. So they can hold Nick Foles for a few years on this contract. If they lose Brady this year, they can't be without a quarterback, as this is their last year to win, go on a run, really, because they have all that cap space, and not everyone's going to return in 2021. So 2020 is probably their last chance to really go for it. And I mean, they're going to probably lose Julian Edelman in 2021. The dude's like 33, 34 years old. So you're losing that generation of, that era of New England football. It's going to probably be ending here soon. If you're lost at any point in this video, which it is a crazy maze, look above. I have the graphic there, and I'll be updating it as we go on this video, with where I have everyone going to which team. So that should hopefully, smooth everything out. But moving on, right? So then we got Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers left LA, or, parted ways with the Chargers. And I think the only place that would really accept Phillip Rivers seems to be like the Indianapolis Colts. They have Frank Reich, his old buddy, and they have good weapons with Marlon Mack at running back. T.Y. Hilton has been a great receiver in the NFL for the past 5-6 years. Zach Pascal, who showed good potential last year, is a big receiver. And this is another team who could go for a big name receiver in the NFL draft, a Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, with their earlier picks. Moving on from Phillip Rivers, who I'm not even a big fan of anyway, but Phillip Rivers, I think the Indianapolis Colts makes the most sense. Also, I don't think Tampa Bay would be a good place for him either. I hope he does not go there. Please do not go there. Please, please, please. Moving on, Marcus Mariota. Now, Marcus Mariota, I don't know why people think that he's going to go to the Bears and completely change. Is he much better than Mitch Trubisky? Yeah, probably, but is he, I should say, he's better. Is he much better? I don't know about that. I mean, the dude threw 7 touchdowns and 2 picks last season for Tennessee, and he got benched. So that kind of just says a lot. Now, I think a place he could go would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I haven't really heard this one before, so I don't know if I'm completely, talking like crazy. I'm out on a limb here, but the Steelers have about $1 million in cap room this year. They have $1 million. Now, I think they can make some money by cutting Vance McDonald, who would open up about $12 million in cap space over the next, I believe, 2 seasons. And there's a few other credible contracts, like I think Anthony Chickillo is like making like $5 or $6 million this year, where you could cut that and you'd only have $2 million in dead cap. So, I think you make a couple moves in Pittsburgh and you have a good backup quarterback that you can sign for the next 2-3 years. Nobody knows about Ben Roethlisberger. And last season, they were probably a playoff team if they have Marcus Mariota, honestly. Whoever they have, it's not it. Duck Hodges isn't it, and I can't even think of the other quarterback right now. They're just not very good, and you don't know about Big Ben's elbow, and Big Ben's old too. I mean, he's nearing the end, so I think having Marcus Mariota there could be a good backup. And Big Ben could be a good mentor to him, and help him maybe groom him as the quarterback of the future. After that, I have Ryan Tannehill staying with the Tennessee Titans. I think you just they went on too good of a run this year to where you can't really get away from them. You know, I that sounds kind of not like a good reason, but I think teams get kind of indebted to players like Nick Foles. Nick Foles made a Super Bowl run where he played like 3 games, and he was terrible years before, and he got a big contract. So I think Ryan Tannehill is just going to stay in Tennessee. I don't think Tom Brady's going to go there. I just don't see that happening. I think Ryan Tannehill staying in Tennessee makes a lot of sense. Dak Prescott, I think he's going to stay with the Cowboys. I think they'll eventually get a contract. He might play on the franchise tag this year. That might be a possibility, but yeah, I think Dak Prescott will stay with the Cowboys. He's too good of a quarterback for them to let go, and I just don't think he wants to go anywhere else. He has good weapons there, so I think Dak Prescott will stay. Andy Dalton, let me do this. I think Joe Burrow actually does go to Cincinnati. I think he has been open in saying whoever kind of drafts me at 1, I will play there. You know, regardless of, he never really said he wants to go to Cincinnati per se, but he said whoever drafts me, I will go. So he wasn't shying away saying I'm not playing. So Andy Dalton. So, I mean, they might not play Joe Burrow right away if they decide to keep Dalton, which I don't think is going to happen. I think they'll start Joe Burrow from the start. But if Andy Dalton, or if Joe Burrow gets drafted by Cincinnati, I think Andy Dalton gets maybe traded to Chicago. I think Chicago could probably get him on the cheap, draft picks, just because I think Chicago, or rather Cincinnati, is just going to want to get rid of Dalton and just get him out of there. But I think Andy Dalton can go in, and what's going to happen? It's Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky sucks. He's not a good quarterback, and I think what's going to happen is what happened in Tennessee this year. Mitch Trubisky's going to start the first 4 or 5 games maybe, and they're going to, go off to a bad start, and Trubisky's going to play really bad, and then Andy Dalton's going to come in and maybe lead them to a playoff push. I don't think Andy Dalton's amazing, but I think he's a lot better than Mitch Trubisky. So I can see Andy Dalton going to Chicago with Joe Burrow going to Cincinnati. Then I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think Tua goes to the Raiders. I think he goes to Vegas. If they get Brady, they have a perfect reason to draft him. Sit him behind Brady for 1 to 2 seasons until he gets his hip fixed, or whatever he needs to do to get healthy, and get groomed. Another quarterback getting groomed by Brady, and we've seen those with Garoppolo and Brissett go off to get starting jobs. I think Tua could sit, and it makes a lot of sense there. And the last one I have is Justin Herbert going to the Dolphins. I think they had a lot of success this year. I shouldn't say a lot. They've been a lot better with Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? What's Ryan Fitzpatrick? He's a freaking gunslinger, and I don't think Miami can really afford to miss on a Tua injury. I think they're like one of the last teams that can have another busted quarterback, And I think that Justin Herbert being the huge arm, he's the Drew Lock of last year, the Josh Allen. I think they're pretty similar. I think that him sitting behind Ryan Fitzpatrick with big weapons, Devontae Parker they just signed, I believe, to an extension, big receiver, Preston Williams, another big receiver. That's a vertical offense. That's going to be a vertical offense, and Miami actually looks like they're going up a little bit, and I think Justin Herbert would make a lot of sense going to Miami, and because I think Vegas. I think Vegas will end up making a trade with Detroit, who I don't think wants to be a 3. Detroit or the Giants. They'll move up and get above Miami, or in front of Miami, and they'll take Tua. So then Miami will be left with Justin Herbert. And that's about all the noteworthy quarterbacks for this, this free agent period. I mean, any of this could be right, could be wrong. We have obviously no idea. And like I said earlier, I think Tom Brady is the big domino effect in this. I think if Tom Brady decides to stay with New England, I mean, that leads Derek Carr to probably stay. So they may not draft like a Tua or a quarterback, which may lead them to go different places. There's a lot of different outcomes. And also, I think Phillip Rivers is a big one. The guy could just retire and end up just being in the booth. He got offered, I'm pretty sure, a job by either ESPN or CBS to be like the Monday night guy or Sunday Night Football, something along those lines. So, we don't know yet, but it's fun to speculate, and I guess we'll see in about a week or so where all these guys are going. So I want to thank you guys so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. If you guys want to check out any of my other videos, I have a Joe Burrow and a Tua scouting video that I did within, a few weeks, and I have a Justin Herbert video coming out in about a week or so. So be prepared for that. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We have, like I said, we have a Justin Herbert video coming out, and we're gonna have a few more scouting videos coming out throughout the summer. And yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for listening. Comment down below what you guys thought about my QB destinations. Some of them were kind of, wild, but hey, it's for fun, right? So I want to thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.